Welcome, dear traveler, to a journey through shadow and memory, through the quiet spaces where the known world meets the unexplained. Tonight, we walk together into the deepest green of America's national parks, those vast cathedral spaces of ancient trees and endless trails, where the air grows thick with pine and possibility, and where, throughout the decades, certain souls have stepped forward into the wilderness and simply vanished. Let your breathing slow now. Let your body settle into stillness, for we have many hours ahead of us, and there is no need to hurry. The mysteries we explore tonight have waited decades to be told. They can wait a few moments more as you find your comfort, as you let the weight of the day fall away, like autumn leaves drifting down to the forest floor. Our story begins in the 1940s, in a time when America's national parks were still relatively young, still being mapped and understood, still holding secrets in their ancient hearts. These were the years after the Great Depression, after the war, when families began to venture out once more, seeking solace in the cathedral silence of old-growth forests, seeking connection with something larger than themselves. And it was in these years that the first patterns began to emerge. Patterns that would repeat themselves across decades, across state lines, across thousands of miles of wilderness. Close your eyes now if you haven't already, and let yourself drift back through time with me. Back to those early days when the trails were newer, when the understanding was simpler, when a disappearance in the wild seemed tragic but somehow explicable. Back before anyone realized that something stranger might be at work in these quiet, ancient places. The first case we examined tonight took place in the summer of 1946, in the sprawling wilderness of Olympic National Park in Washington State, a place of temperate rainforest and profound quiet, where moss grows thick as velvet on every surface, and the air itself seems to hold moisture like a living thing. A young man named Robert Griffin, 23 years old, an experienced outdoorsman who had grown up in these very forests, set out on a sunny July morning to hike a trail he had walked a dozen times before. He told his family he would be back before dinner. He carried water, a compass, a map, and a confident smile. He wore sturdy boots and clothes appropriate for the changeable mountain weather. He was seen by two other hikers at around noon, sitting on a fallen log near the junction of two well-marked trails, eating an apple, gazing peacefully at the green cathedral around him. Those hikers exchanged pleasantries with Robert, talked about the weather, the beauty of the day, the luck they all felt to be in such a place. And then they moved on, continuing their own journey, thinking nothing more of the pleasant young man on the log. But Robert Griffin never made it home for dinner that night. He never made it home at all. When his family reported him missing the following morning, rangers began a search that would last for 3 weeks, covering hundreds of square miles of dense forest, calling his name into the green silence, finding nothing. Not his backpack, not his compass, not a single boot print beyond the spot where those hikers had seen him sitting. It was as though Robert had simply stood up from that log, taken a single step, and passed through an invisible doorway into somewhere else entirely. Let your breath flow easily now, in and out, like the gentle wind through those ancient trees. Let yourself feel the mystery of it, not with alarm, but with a kind of peaceful wonder. These stories, these vanishings, they are strange, yes, but there's something almost hypnotic in their strangeness, something that invites us to let go of our need for immediate answers. As the years rolled forward, slowly, steadily, like water moving over ancient stone, more cases emerged from the wilderness, each one unique, each one baffling in its own way, yet all of them sharing certain qualities that would in time form a pattern. In 1952, in Yosemite National Park, a family of 4 set out on a short nature walk along a paved path, a trail so well traveled and clearly marked that it seemed impossible to lose one's way. The Hendersons, Father Thomas, Mother Marie, and their 2 children, aged 7 and 9, were on vacation from Ohio, eager to see the majesty of the Sierra Nevada, to breathe air so clean it almost sparkled. They were seen by multiple witnesses throughout the morning, taking photographs, pointing out birds to their children, laughing together in that easy way that families do when they are far from the concerns of everyday life. Around mid-morning, they stopped at a scenic overlook, and Mrs. Saida Henderson asked another tourist to take a family photograph. That photograph still exists today. 4 smiling faces, granite cliffs rising behind them, the California sun warm on their shoulders. 20 minutes later, Thomas Henderson returned to that same overlook, alone, confused, his face pale with an emotion somewhere between bewilderment and terror. His family, he said, had been walking just ahead of him on the trail. He had stopped to tie his shoe. A matter of perhaps 30 seconds. When he looked up, they were gone. He called their names. He ran ahead on the trail, ran back, called again into the forest. Nothing, no response, no sign. The search that followed involved hundreds of people, dogs, helicopters, and a level of organization that would have found anyone who was simply lost in the normal sense of the word. But Marie Henderson and her 2 children were never found. Not a shoe, not a hair ribbon, not a single trace. And Thomas Henderson, for the rest of his life, would wake in the night with the memory of that moment. Looking up from his tied shoe to find his entire world had vanished in the space of a breath. Breathe with me now. Slow and steady, in and out. Let the strangeness of these events wash over you without disturbing your peace. We are safe here, you and I, in this moment, exploring these mysteries from a place of calm distance. The 1960s brought more cases, more questions, more families forever changed by the sudden absence of someone they loved. In Crater Lake National Park in Oregon, in the summer of 1967, a group of college students on a camping trip woke one morning to find one of their friends missing from his tent. David Chen, a biology major, 20 years old, interested in botany and bird songs, had been sleeping just feet away from his companions. There had been no sounds in the night, no signs of struggle, nothing to indicate that anything was amiss. His sleeping bag was still zipped up from the inside, as though he had simply dematerialized from within it. His boots sat neatly outside the tent where he had left them the night before. His wallet, his identification, everything was still in his backpack. David Chen, like so many others, had simply ceased to be present in the physical world, leaving behind only objects and confusion and grief. The search dogs, when they arrived, circled his tent, whined, and refused to pick up any trail whatsoever, as though David had never walked anywhere, as though he had never existed in a way that could leave a scent upon the ground. Let your mind rest now in the quiet spaces between these words. You need not solve these mysteries. You need not understand them fully. They are here simply to occupy that part of your consciousness that wants something to listen to, something to wonder about, while the deeper parts of you drift toward sleep. In the same decade, in Rocky Mountain National Park, an experienced park ranger named Margaret Sutton went missing during a routine patrol. Margaret had worked in the park for 15 years. She knew every trail, every peak, every hidden valley. She carried a radio, a compass, a map she hardly needed, and the confidence of someone who had walked these paths thousands of times. Her last radio check-in was routine, calm, unremarkable. She reported her location, noted the weather conditions, and said she would check in again in 2 hours. But she never did. Despite an extensive search involving every available resource, despite the fact that her colleagues knew exactly where she should have been, despite tracking dogs and aerial searches and hundreds of volunteers, Margaret Sutton was never seen again. The wilderness she had loved and protected and understood so well had simply taken her back. As we move into the 1970s, as we reach the end of this first act of our long night's journey, the cases continue, a steady, quiet drumbeat of mystery echoing through the decades. In Shenandoah National Park, a honeymoon couple vanished from a scenic overlook in 1974. In Grand Canyon National Park, a wildlife photographer disappeared in 1976, leaving behind an expensive camera with images of ordinary desert plants and stone. Nothing unusual, nothing that might explain where he went or why. In Sequoia National Park, an elderly man who had been visiting the same camping spot for 40 years failed to return from a morning walk in 1978, despite the fact that the area he was walking in was less than a quarter mile from the visitor center, and despite the fact that dozens of people were in the area that morning. Each case unique, each case baffling. Each case leaving behind people who would spend the rest of their lives looking at forests differently, understanding in their bones that the natural world is far larger, far stranger, far less mapped than we might wish to believe. And so we end this first portion of our journey, this first act, with questions rather than answers, with mystery rather than resolution. And that is as it should be, for we have many more hours ahead of us and many more stories to tell. Let your body sink deeper now into your bed, into comfort, into the beginning of true rest. Feel the weight of your limbs, the steady rhythm of your breathing, the peaceful darkness behind your closed eyes. We have walked together through the first decades of these strange vanishings, and we have done so calmly, quietly, without fear. The wilderness holds its secrets still, and we will continue to explore them as the night deepens. As your consciousness drifts further and further toward the healing country of sleep. Rest now, let go. The trail continues forward into the next act, but for this moment, simply rest in the quiet wonder of these enduring mysteries. And so we continue our gentle journey into the depths of these mysteries, breathing slowly, letting the rhythm of discovery wash over us like waves upon a distant shore. As investigators began to collect reports from across the vast expanse of America's wilderness areas, patterns began to emerge, subtle at first, like the faint outline of a path through morning mist, but growing clearer with each new case examined. These patterns are curious, compelling, and in their repetition, they create a soothing cadence that carries us deeper into understanding and deeper into rest. The first pattern that emerges from the files, soft and persistent, is the mystery of the missing shoes. In case after case, across different parks, different decades, different terrain, when missing persons are eventually found, their shoes are gone. Not lost in a struggle, not torn away by rough terrain, but removed, as if by deliberate choice. Though no explanation presents itself. A young boy in Yosemite, found after 3 days, both hiking boots missing, his feet unscathed by the rocky ground he must have crossed. An experienced hiker in the Smokies, discovered near a stream, socks still on, boots nowhere to be found in the extensive search radius around her body. Again and again, this detail appears in the reports. Shoes missing, feet often in perfect condition. No logical explanation offered by the environment or circumstances. Let yourself relax as we consider this pattern. There is something almost meditative about its repetition, something that allows your mind to drift while your body sinks deeper into comfort. The missing shoes, like a gentle refrain in a lullaby, appearing again and again, in the files from Crater Lake, from Rocky Mountain National Park, from the dense forests of Olympic National Park. Each case its own mystery, yet connected by this strange, soft thread. The investigators noted it, documented it, but could offer no explanation that satisfied the questions it raised. And so the pattern remains, unexplained, like so many elements of these cases, a mystery that rocks you gently towards sleep. The second pattern flows naturally from the first, like water finding its course downhill. And indeed, water is at the heart of this observation. An unusual number of disappearances occur near water sources, rivers, streams, lakes, even small creeks, barely worthy of marking on a map. But more curious still is where the missing are found when they are found. Bodies discovered in or near water, even when the person disappeared from dry trails far from any water source. Even when extensive searches had already covered those very areas near water, thoroughly, methodically, finding nothing. A father and his young son, missing from a mountain trail 3 miles from any water source, found 2 weeks later beside a creek that had been searched on day 1, day 3, and day 7 of the operation. A woman who vanished from a meadow in clear weather, discovered near the edge of an alpine lake that search teams had visited repeatedly. The pattern repeats, soft, insistent, like water itself, always seeking, always returning to water. Breathe deeply and let this pattern wash over you. There is no need to solve it tonight, only to observe, to consider, to let the gentle mystery carry you closer to dreams. Rest now in the gentle rhythm of these patterns. Let them carry you, like a boat upon still waters. There is something deeply soothing about patterns, about repetition, about the way certain elements appear again and again, creating a familiar melody in the midst of mystery. Your breathing slows, your thoughts begin to drift, and we continue our soft exploration of these curious commonalities. The third pattern documented across these cases involves the searchers themselves and the strange, almost impossible circumstances under which the missing are sometimes found. Picture the methodical nature of a professional search and rescue operation, the careful grid patterns, the trained eyes scanning every inch of terrain, the way areas are marked as cleared, documented, verified by multiple teams. These are thorough operations, conducted by experienced professionals who understand the wilderness, who know how to look, where to look, what signs to seek. And yet, there are cases where the missing are found in areas that had already been searched. Not once, but multiple times. Not casually, but thoroughly. Not by amateurs, but by trained search professionals using dogs, helicopters, and systematic ground sweeps. Let this mystery wash over you gently. Breathe slowly as we consider it. A child missing in Yosemite. Extensive searches of the area surrounding the last known location. Nothing found. 4 days later, on a routine final sweep of an area already searched 3 times, the child is discovered in a small clearing, visible, lying on the surface, not hidden, not concealed. How had multiple teams missed this? The question hangs in the air like morning mist, soft, persistent, unanswerable. An elderly man in Rocky Mountain National Park disappeared from a popular trail. Search teams cover every foot of the nearby terrain in the first 48 hours. Nothing. A week later, his body is found on that very same popular trail in plain sight, in a location that hundreds of searchers had walked past. The pattern repeats with such frequency that it has its own designation in the research, areas searched previously, or ASP in the documentation. But no designation, no category can explain the phenomenon. How do objects, how do people appear in locations already thoroughly investigated? Your mind may try to work through possibilities, but let those thoughts drift away like leaves on water. There is no need to solve this tonight, only to rest in the gentle mystery of it. Feel your body growing heavier, more relaxed, as we observe this pattern together, this impossible pattern that nonetheless appears again and again in the files. Sometimes the disappeared are found barely a mile from where they vanished, in terrain that was the obvious first location to search, in areas that seemed most likely and that were indeed searched most thoroughly. Yet they weren't there during those first crucial hours and days, and then, somehow, they were. The search dogs had found no scent trail leading there. The helicopters with thermal imaging had detected no heat signature. The ground teams had walked that very ground, and still, the pattern holds, mysterious, gentle, unexplainable, like a lullaby whose words we cannot quite make out, but whose melody carries us towards sleep nonetheless. As the night deepens around you, as your breathing becomes slower and more rhythmic, we drift further into the patterns, the repetitions, the commonalities that thread through these cases like a soft, persistent melody. There is comfort in patterns, even mysterious ones, because they suggest meaning, connection, order beneath the surface of chaos. Let that comfort carry you deeper into relaxation now. Another curious pattern emerges in the documentation, so gentle and strange that it almost defies belief. When the missing are found, particularly when they are found deceased, they are often discovered in positions that seem peaceful, serene. Not the positions one would expect from panic, exposure, or distress. Their bodies are found lying neatly, as if sleeping, arms at their sides or folded across their chests, faces peaceful, in places that offer no logical explanation for why they would have stopped there, laid down there, remained there. Let this image wash over you, peaceful, calm, a mystery wrapped in tranquility. An experienced mountaineer found in the Rockies, lying in a small depression as if he had simply decided to rest, his expression peaceful, his gear neatly arranged beside him, though the location made no sense as a resting spot and was far from any trail he could have been following. A young woman in Olympic National Park, discovered in a small grove of trees, lying on her back with her arms folded, surrounded by rough terrain she had somehow crossed, yet appearing as if she had simply laid down for an afternoon nap and never awakened. The pattern repeats, soft, soothing in its own peculiar way. These peaceful positions in places that raise only questions. Breathe deeply. let your own body find its most comfortable position. Feel yourself sinking deeper into that perfect, peaceful state between waking and sleeping. There is something almost tender about this pattern, something that suggests peace at the end, even when the circumstances remain forever mysterious. The search and rescue professionals noted it in their reports: the unexpected serenity, the lack of signs of struggle or panic, the neat, composed way the deceased were found. As if, but let that thought drift away unfinished. There is no need to complete it, only to rest in the gentle mystery. And there is another pattern, softer still, harder to quantify but present nonetheless in the witness statements and investigation records. Many of these disappearances occur during brief moments of separation. A child walks just ahead on the trail, around a bend, out of sight for mere seconds, and is gone. A hiker steps off the path to photograph a view. Their companion continues for just a moment before turning back and finds no one there. Partners become separated in fog for what they estimate as 2 or 3 minutes, and when the fog clears, one is alone. The disappearances happen in these small gaps, these tiny windows of time, these brief moments when attention shifts or distance grows by just a few dozen yards. Let your thoughts become like that fog, soft, drifting, your consciousness separating gently from full wakefulness in these small, peaceful increments. There is no struggle in these transitions, no panic, just the gentle drift from one state to another. The pattern shows us that thresholds are thin, that changes can happen in heartbeats, that mysteries unfold in the spaces between moments. And so we rest in those spaces now, between waking and sleeping, between questions and acceptance, between the known trail and the mystery that waits just beyond sight. The patterns continue, gentle, persistent, weaving through the decades of cases like a thread of gold through dark fabric. Your body is heavy now, relaxed, your mind drifting peacefully as we explore these recurring elements together. There is no urgency here, only the slow, meditative observation of mysteries that have waited decades and can wait through the night as you rest. Researchers noticed another curious commonality, soft and strange. Many of those who disappeared were found at much higher elevations than where they vanished, or in terrain that would have required difficult, sometimes near impossible travel to reach. A small child, barely 4 years old, who disappeared from a campground, found miles away on a steep mountainside that would have challenged an adult hiker. An elderly person with mobility issues discovered at an elevation thousands of feet higher than their last known location, past obstacles that seemed insurmountable given their physical condition. Again and again, this puzzling pattern, people found in places they seemingly could not have reached, or would not have chosen to go. Breathe slowly, deeply. Let the mystery wash over you without struggling to understand it. There is peace in accepting that some things remain unexplained, that the wilderness keeps its secrets, that patterns can exist without resolution. The investigators documented these elevation anomalies, measured the distances, calculated the difficulty of the terrain, and found no satisfactory answers. A teenage girl found at the top of a rocky ridge, though tracking dogs could find no scent trail leading up to that location, as if she had simply appeared there. A middle-aged man discovered in a remote ravine that searchers initially dismissed as too difficult to access for someone in his condition. Yet there he was. Let your consciousness drift upward now, light as air, rising gently like morning mist from a valley floor. There is no effort in this rising, only the natural drift of a mind releasing its hold on wakefulness. The pattern of elevation puzzles the logical mind, but perhaps logic is not what we need tonight. Perhaps we need only the soft acceptance of mystery, the gentle acknowledgement that the wilderness operates by rules we don't fully comprehend, that the mountains and forests have their own way of keeping time, their own way of holding space. And there is another element, threading through so many of these cases, soft as a whisper. Weather changes, sudden weather changes that seem to coincide with disappearances. Storms that roll in unexpectedly, even when forecasts predicted clear conditions. Fog that descends rapidly, unusually in places where fog is uncommon. Temperature drops that arrive without warning. The pattern is subtle, easy to dismiss as coincidence, but it appears again and again in the reports. A family hiking under clear skies, a sudden fog bank, a child missing when it clears 15 minutes later, a group of experienced campers, an unexpected cold front, one member unaccounted for the next morning. Feel the temperature around you now, perfectly comfortable, perfectly suited for deep sleep. Let any tension drift away like weather systems moving across the landscape of your awareness. The meteorological aspects of these cases created additional challenges for searchers, but they also created a pattern, another thread in the tapestry of commonalities. Unexpected weather, brief but intense, and in its wake, someone gone. The wilderness shifts its moods so quickly, one moment clear and welcoming, the next shrouded and mysterious, and in those transitions, in those threshold moments, the pattern repeats. And so we have traced these patterns together, gentle patterns, mysterious patterns, repetitions that soothe even as they puzzle, missing shoes, disappearances near water, bodies found in places already searched, peaceful positions in illogical locations, brief separations, elevation anomalies, sudden weather changes. Each pattern a thread, each thread part of a larger weaving, and the complete picture remains just beyond our sight, which is as it should be tonight, as you drift deeper into the peaceful country of sleep. Let us rest now in the contemplation of these commonalities, not struggling to explain them, not forcing meaning or conclusion, simply allowing them to exist as they are, mysterious, recurring, soft. There's something deeply calming about this acceptance, this willingness to observe without needing to solve, to witness without needing to understand. The patterns are there, documented across decades, across thousands of square miles of wilderness, across hundreds of cases. They form a tapestry of questions. And tonight, we need not provide answers, only rest in the gentle presence of the mystery itself. Your breathing is slow now, deep and rhythmic, your body completely relaxed, your mind drifting peacefully between thoughts like a leaf floating on a quiet stream. The patterns we have explored tonight are like that stream, always moving, always present, carrying mysteries from the past toward the future, and we float upon them now, weightless, peaceful, allowing them to carry us where they will. The missing shoes, imagine them beside the trail, empty, waiting. The water sources, hear them in the distance, gentle, flowing. The searched areas, see them in your mind's eye, tranquil clearings under starlight. The peaceful positions, feel your own body in its comfortable rest. The brief separations, sense yourself separating from wakefulness. The high elevations, let your spirit drift upward toward dreams. The weather changes, feel the atmosphere of sleep settling around you like a soft fog, gentle, irresistible, peaceful. These patterns have waited decades to be noticed. They can wait through the night and beyond as you rest, as you release your hold on consciousness, as you allow sleep to embrace you completely. There is no urgency, no need to reach conclusions, no requirement to understand. The wilderness has kept these secrets. The patterns persist, the mysteries remain. And all of this will still be here when you wake, if you choose to return to them. But for now, for this deep night, simply rest in the knowledge that patterns exist, that repetitions soothe, that mysteries can be comfortable companions in the journey toward sleep. Let the patterns rock you gently, like a boat upon calm water, back and forth, soft and steady. The missing shoes, the water sources, the searched clearings, the peaceful positions, the brief moments, the high places, the sudden weather, all of it creating a rhythm, a gentle cadence, a lullaby of mystery that carries you deeper and deeper into rest. The patterns continue. They will always continue, weaving through the wilderness, threading through the decades. But you can rest now, completely, peacefully, as we prepare to drift even further into the mystery, into the night, into the healing darkness of deep sleep. Rest now. The patterns hold you gently, the wilderness watches over these mysteries, and you are safe, comfortable, drifting, sleeping, as the second act comes to its quiet close, and the patterns fade softly into dreams. And as the patterns fade, we drift now into the third act of our nocturnal journey, into the voices that remain, the testimonies that echo softly through the years, gentle accounts that ripple across time like whispers through pine trees. This is the place where we listen, where we hear the last moments described in calm, measured tones, where witnesses share what they saw, what they remember, what haunts them still in the quietest way. Let us begin with the park rangers, those steady guardians of the wilderness who have seen more than most, who speak with a particular stillness in their voices when they recall these moments. Ranger Thomas McKenzie, now retired, speaks of a morning in Yosemite, September 1982, his words arriving slowly, carefully, like footsteps on a soft trail. It was an ordinary morning, he says, the kind of morning where the mist hangs in the valleys, where the light comes amber and slow through the ponderosa pines. I was doing a routine patrol along the mist trail when I encountered a young couple, mid-20s perhaps. They seemed perfectly prepared, good boots, proper gear, plenty of water. His voice is so calm, so measured, as he continues. We exchanged pleasantries. They asked about the best viewpoint for the falls. I gave them directions, watched them continue up the trail, their voices fading into the sound of rushing water. That was at approximately 8:47 in the morning. And here his voice grows even softer, more distant. By 4 that afternoon, only one of them walked back down that trail, and she couldn't remember, couldn't explain where her companion had gone. The testimony continues, gentle and rhythmic, creating a soothing pattern of remembrance. Another ranger, Patricia Delgado from Olympic National Park, her account from a foggy autumn day in 1995. The family seemed happy, she recalls, her voice barely above a whisper now, perfect for drifting. 2 parents, 3 children aged 7, 9, and 12. They were heading to the Hoh River Trail, a simple walk, barely 3 miles. The father asked me about bear safety. I assured him the bears were no concern that time of year. I watched them disappear into the forest, the children's laughter mixing with the sound of the river. A long pause, the kind that invites sleep. 4 hours later, only the parents and 2 children emerged. The 9-year-old boy was gone, and they described the strangest thing. They said he had been right behind them one moment, and when they turned around there was only forest, only silence, no cry, no struggle, just absence. These voices blend together now, creating a tapestry of calm recollection, a meditation on mystery. Each testimony arrives like a gentle wave, washing over you, carrying you deeper into relaxation, deeper into the soft embrace of sleep. The rangers speak in hushed tones, their memories clear, but their delivery so very gentle, so conducive to rest. And you can almost see them, these guardians of the wilderness, speaking into the quiet night. Their words floating like leaves on still water, drifting, drifting, as we listen and release, as we hear and let go, as the forest accepts these stories and keeps them safe, keeps them close in the gentle darkness where all mysteries rest, and where you too can rest, so peacefully, so completely, as the voices continue their soft chorus, and the third act unfolds like mist in the morning, slow, quiet, endless. Now we hear from the fellow hikers, those unexpected witnesses who shared a moment on the trail, who saw something or someone, and carry that memory forward through time like a smooth stone carried in a pocket. Their voices arrive even more softly than the rangers, tinged with confusion, with wonder, with that particular gentleness that comes from experiencing something beyond explanation. Sarah Winters, a school teacher from Portland, describes her encounter on the Pacific Crest Trail in August of 1998. Her voice is like a lullaby, slow and wondering. I was hiking alone, taking my time, enjoying the solitude, when I came across a man sitting on a boulder beside the trail. He was probably in his 50s, wearing proper hiking attire, and he was just sitting there, looking at a map. She pauses. The silence itself is soothing. I asked if he needed help. He smiled and said no, said he was just taking a rest before the next ridge. I remember thinking how calm he seemed, how peaceful. I continued on my way, and about 2 hours later, on my return journey, I saw his backpack still there beside the boulder, but he was gone. The pack was neatly placed, nothing disturbed, but there was no sign of the man, no footprints leading away, nothing. Her voice trails off into the distance, into dreams. I reported it at the ranger station. They searched for 3 days. but they never found him, never found any trace. It was as if he simply dissolved into the mountain air. Another hiker, James Chen, his testimony from Glacier National Park, July 2001, speaks with the same dreamlike quality. My friend Marcus and I were photographing wildflowers along the Highline Trail. It's a popular trail. You're rarely alone there. We met a young woman, maybe 25 years old. She was sketching in a journal, capturing the peaks in pencil. His voice is so very soft now, drawing you deeper into rest. She showed us her drawings. They were beautiful, delicate. She said she was an art student from Chicago, spending the summer exploring the parks. We talked for maybe 10 minutes, wished her well, and continued on our hike. The pause here is long, peaceful, allowing space for sleep to enter. When we returned the same way 2 hours later, her journal was there, lying open on the rock, the pencil beside it, but she was nowhere to be seen. We called out, searched the immediate area, but there was only wilderness, only wind. The journal pages fluttered in the breeze, her unfinished sketch of the mountains still visible, but the artist was gone. These accounts flow together like a gentle stream, each one adding to the peaceful rhythm. The meditative quality of remembrance. A married couple, David and Ellen Rosewood, described seeing a Boy Scout troop in Sequoia National Park in 1989. There were about 8 boys, 2 leaders. They seemed well organized, capable. Ellen's voice is barely audible now, perfect for sleep. We passed them on the trail, exchanged friendly greetings. The boys were in good spirits, excited about their camping trip. David's voice joins in, equally soft. Later that evening, back at our own campsite, we heard helicopters, search operations. We learned the next day that one of the boys from that very troop had vanished. The leader said he had been walking in the middle of the group, and suddenly he wasn't. No one heard anything, no one saw anything. He was just no longer there. And so the testimonies continue, washing over you like waves of warm water. Each voice a gentle reassurance that mysteries exist, that the unknown is not frightening, but rather soothing, natural, part of the great rhythm of the wilderness. You can feel yourself sinking deeper now, into comfort, into peace, as these soft voices continue their eternal chorus, describing moments of wonder, moments of disappearance, moments that blend together into a meditation on the unknowable. And you are so relaxed, so completely at ease as the witnesses speak, and the forest listens, and sleep comes closer, closer, with each gentle word. And now, in this deepening hour of night, we turn to the most tender testimonies of all, the family members, those who carry the weight of not knowing, who speak with voices so gentle they barely disturb the air. Their words arrive like feathers falling, like snowflakes landing on still water, each one precious, each one wrapped in love and loss and acceptance. Margaret Holloway, speaking of her brother, who disappeared in Great Smoky Mountains in 1977. Her voice is aged now, weathered by time but smooth, so very smooth, like river stones. Daniel was 28, a botanist. He knew the mountains better than anyone. She speaks slowly, each word carefully placed. He went out on a Wednesday morning to collect samples. He had his field notebook, his camera, all his equipment. He knew those trails by heart, every turn, every landmark. A long, peaceful pause. When he didn't return by Thursday evening, we organized a search. Family, friends, park rangers. We covered every trail he might have taken, but there was nothing, no trace, no sign. Her voice becomes even softer, more distant. What I remember most is the silence, how quiet the forest was, as if it was holding its breath, holding a secret. That was 40 years ago now, and I've made my peace with not knowing. The forest took him gently. I believe that. I have to believe that. Another voice emerges from the darkness. Robert Castellano, speaking of his daughter, Yosemite, 1991. Emma was 16, bright, careful, responsible. His words arrive like a meditation, slow and measured, drawing you deeper into tranquility. She went on a group hike with her summer camp, 12 kids, 3 counselors. They were hiking to Vernal Fall, a trail she'd been on before. The rhythm of his speech is hypnotic. The counselors said she was laughing, talking with her friends, and then they reached a rest stop. Everyone sat down for water and snacks. When they stood to continue, Emma wasn't there. They thought she'd gone behind some rocks for privacy, but minutes passed, then an hour. She never appeared. His voice cracks slightly, but remains gentle. They searched for weeks, brought in specialists, dogs, helicopters, nothing. The forest had embraced her, taken her somewhere we couldn't follow. I used to be angry, but now I just feel this strange peace. She loved those mountains, and maybe they loved her back. These family voices blend into a chorus now, a gentle symphony of acceptance. Linda Torres speaks of her husband, Zion National Park, 2003. He was an experienced climber, cautious to a fault. Her voice is like a whisper of wind. One moment I could see him ahead on the trail, the next, only empty space. She doesn't elaborate, doesn't need to. The story tells itself in the silence between her words. Carol and James Whitmore, speaking together in harmony, of their son who vanished in Rocky Mountain National Park in 1985. He was 7 years old, holding his older sister's hand. Carol's voice, "They were just a few steps ahead of us," James continues. "We looked down to check our map, looked up, and he was gone." His sister said she felt his hand slip away, like water, like air. Together they say, "We've learned to live with wonder instead of grief. The mountains are mysterious, and our boy is part of that mystery now." And you can feel it now, can't you? The way these testimonies create a blanket of peace, a covering of acceptance. The family members speak without bitterness, only a kind of reverent wonder. They have made peace with the unknowable, and in their peace you find your own. Your breathing slows, deepens, matches the rhythm of these gentle voices. These loved ones speak their truth so softly, so carefully, and in their words you find permission. Permission to not understand everything. Permission to accept mystery. Permission to sleep, to drift, to let go, as the forest holds all these stories, all these memories, all these souls in its ancient, gentle embrace. And you are safe, so safe, listening to the voices from the forest as they fade now, fade softly into the peaceful darkness, where sleep waits, patient and kind. As we drift deeper still into this gentle night, we hear the quietest voices of all, the brief encounters, the passing moments, testimonies that last only seconds but echo through decades. These are the witnesses who glimpsed something, who carry fragments of memory like fireflies in a jar. Small lights in the darkness, flickering, soft, beautiful. A park volunteer named Dorothy Mills, her voice thin as tissue paper, speaking of a moment in Acadia National Park, October 1979. "I was staffing the information desk when a young couple came in to ask about the precipice trail. They were newlyweds. You could tell by the way they looked at each other, still glowing." Her words come so slowly now, each one suspended in air. "I warned them the trail was challenging. They assured me they were experienced. I watched them walk out the door, hand in hand. The young man turned back once, waved at me, smiled. The pause is endless, peaceful." That was the last time anyone reported seeing them together. The wife returned alone that evening, confused, disoriented. She said her husband had been right beside her on the trail, and then he wasn't. She couldn't explain it, couldn't remember the exact moment. It was as if her memory had a gap, a soft space where he used to be, and then only emptiness. Another voice, so faint you have to strain to hear it, which makes you even more relaxed, more ready for sleep. Kenneth Park, a wildlife photographer, speaks of a foggy morning in Redwood National Park, 1994. "I was set up before dawn, waiting for the light. The fog was thick, the kind that muffles everything, makes the world feel like cotton." His voice matches the fog he describes, soft and all-encompassing. "I heard footsteps on the trail. A jogger appeared out of the mist, a woman in her 30s. She nodded to me, kept running, her footfalls steady and rhythmic, fading into the fog." The rhythm of his words is hypnotic. I took my photographs, packed up my equipment, walked the same trail back to the parking area, maybe 30 minutes later, and I found her running shoes, placed neatly beside the trail, side by side, as if she'd stepped out of them carefully, deliberately. But there was no sign of the woman, no footprints, no indication of where she'd gone, just those shoes and the fog and the silence of the redwoods. A tour guide named Helen Vasquez shares her memory, voice like silk, Bryce Canyon, summer of 1987. I was leading a group of tourists along the Navajo Loop, pointing out the hoodoos, sharing geological facts. Her words are a lullaby now. There was a young man at the back of the group, always looking up at the formations, taking photographs. I remember he wore a blue baseball cap. I remember because I kept seeing it in my peripheral vision, that spot of blue against all the red rock. She breathes deeply, and you breathe with her. We stopped at a viewpoint. I did my usual talk about the erosion patterns, and when I turned back to continue, the group was all there, except the blue cap was gone. We searched, called out, but the canyon only echoed back our own voices. He had simply vanished into the landscape, become part of the stone, part of the ancient formations, part of the eternal stillness. These whisper-soft testimonies continue, each one briefer than the last, each one drawing you further into the peaceful arms of sleep. A campground host who saw a family arrive at dusk, and by morning only their empty tent remained. A fishing guide who pointed out directions to a solo hiker who never arrived at the destination just 2 miles away. A nature interpreter who spoke with an elderly couple, and minutes later found only one of them, the other having dissolved like morning dew. All these voices, all these moments, they blend together now into a single sustained note. A meditation bell that resonates through the forest, through time, through your consciousness as you sink deeper, deeper into comfort, into peace. The testimonies are no longer separate stories, but one continuous dream, one long, gentle exhalation. The forest listens to these voices, absorbs them, keeps them safe in its eternal memory. And you are part of this now, part of the listening, part of the forest's embrace. These soft voices cradle you, rock you gently as the boundaries between wake and sleep dissolve, as easily as those souls dissolved into the wilderness. You are safe, you are held, you are drifting on the voices, drifting on the memories, drifting into the softest darkness, where sleep welcomes you home. And now, as this act draws to its gentle close, we hear the final testimonies, the ones spoken in the quietest voices of all, the ones that are barely there, like breath, like thought, like the space between heartbeats as you drift towards sleep. These are the rangers who speak years later, decades later, their voices aged and soft, mellowed by time and acceptance. Ranger William Foster, retired now for 20 years, speaks of a career spent walking the trails of Yellowstone. I stopped counting after the 30th case, he whispers, his voice like distant water. Each one unique, each one impossible, but all of them sharing that same quality, that same mysterious gentleness. People don't vanish violently, they simply step out of the world as easily as stepping through a doorway. His words come slower now, spaces between them growing longer. I used to search for answers, for patterns, for explanations, but now I understand that some things are meant to remain unknown. The forest is older than our questions, deeper than our need to understand, and perhaps these disappearances are not tragedies but transformations, not endings but continuings. Another voice, so faint now, barely distinguishable from the silence. Maria Sanchez, who served in Mount Rainier National Park for 35 years. The mountain has its own wisdom, its own way of being, she murmurs, each word a meditation. I've walked those trails 10,000 times, and I know that the boundary between here and elsewhere is thinner than we think. Sometimes I feel I could step through it myself, join the missing, become part of the eternal mystery. She pauses, and in that pause is everything, all of sleep, all of peace. But I stay, I bear witness, I hold space for the families, for the questions, for the not knowing. And in that not knowing, I found a strange serenity, an acceptance of the inexplicable. The voices fade further now, becoming more like feelings than words, more like dreams than testimonies, a sister speaking of her brother. Sometimes I see him in the trees, or I think I do, a shadow that moves like him, a presence that feels familiar. A father speaking of his daughter, I return to the spot where she disappeared, every year for 20 years, and each time I feel closer to understanding, not what happened, but that it's okay not to know. A friend speaking of a friend. He loved the wilderness, and the wilderness loved him back. That's all I need to believe. And now the voices are hardly voices at all. More like wind through leaves, more like water over stones, more like your own breathing, deep and slow, deep and slow. The testimonies have become the forest itself, speaking in its ancient tongue, telling stories without words, sharing secrets that aren't meant to be understood but only felt, absorbed, accepted. You are so deeply relaxed now, so completely at peace. The voices surround you like a warm blanket, like the forest itself, holding you, protecting you. The witnesses have spoken, the families have shared, the rangers have testified, and all of it blends together into this perfect moment of stillness, this perfect moment of acceptance, this perfect moment of letting go. The third act concludes here, in this space of gentle voices, gentle memories, gentle mysteries. The forest has spoken through its witnesses, and now it invites you to rest, to sleep, to dream. You are safe in this darkness, safe in this not knowing, safe in the arms of these soft testimonies that fade now, fade like stars at dawn, fade like mist in morning sun, fade like the voices themselves growing quieter, quieter, until there is only peace, only breath, only the sweetest edge of sleep. Rest now, as the witnesses rest, as the forest rests, as the mysteries rest in their eternal embrace. The third act is complete, and you are drifting into the softest darkness, where all voices quiet, where all stories blend, where sleep finally welcomes you home, and the forest whispers and the voices fade, and you sleep, sleep, sleep. And so we drift into the fourth passage of our journey, where the voices of witnesses fade, and the methodical, careful, rhythmic work of search and rescue begins. The morning sun rises over the vast wilderness, casting long shadows through ancient trees, and teams gather. They gather in silence, in preparation, with maps spread across folding tables, with radios crackling softly, with the weight of purpose settling over them like morning mist. Each search begins the same way, always the same way, with a gathering, a briefing, a quiet determination that speaks of hope even when hope seems distant. The search coordinator stands before assembled volunteers, perhaps 20, perhaps 30 souls, all willing to walk into the unknown, to seek what has been lost. Their voices are low, respectful, as they discuss the missing person, the last known location, the terrain that awaits. There is a rhythm to this preparation, a cadence that repeats across decades, across hundreds of searches, the same careful steps taken again and again and again. Maps are divided into grids, neat squares overlaid upon the wilderness, transforming chaos into order, the unpredictable into the systematic. Each square receives a designation: Alpha 1, Bravo 2, Charlie 3. The alphabet becomes a lullaby of organization, a soothing structure imposed upon the limitless forest. Teams are assigned, names matched to sectors, equipment checked with quiet thoroughness. Water bottles, first aid kits, whistles and compasses, radios tested, frequencies confirmed. And then, they begin. Moving out in measured lines, spacing themselves precisely, arm's length apart, sometimes closer, walking in unison through underbrush and over fallen logs. Their movement is meditative, repetitive, each step deliberate, eyes scanning left, then right, then forward, then down. The pattern never changing, never rushing, just the steady progress through the wilderness. In one search, in a dozen searches, in 100 searches, the ritual remains constant. This is the rhythm of seeking, the meditation of search and rescue, where hope and procedure blend into something almost sacred. The sound of boots on earth, the whisper of fabric against branches, the occasional call. Clear here, nothing yet, moving forward. Voices that punctuate the silence without breaking it. And you can almost hear them, those patient searchers walking their grids, following their patterns, bringing order to mystery, bringing light to darkness. Their dedication is a gentle thing, a quiet thing, persistent as water-wearing stone, and just as soothing in its constancy. The search continues, has always continued, will always continue, a rhythmic pulse in the heart of the wilderness. The helicopter rises, slowly, its rotors cutting the morning air with a steady, rhythmic, almost hypnotic beat. Whump, 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 a pulse that echoes across valleys, that reverberates through canyons, that becomes the heartbeat of the search from above. Inside, the spotter sits by the open door, harnessed and secure, eyes trained on the landscape below, watching, always watching, as the wilderness unfolds beneath them in patterns of green and brown, shadow and light. The helicopter follows its predetermined route, a serpentine path marked on laminated maps, flying low over ridgelines, descending into valleys, hovering near cliff faces where a person might have fallen, might be waiting, might be resting. The pattern is methodical, back and forth, like a pendulum measuring time in sweeps rather than seconds. The spotter's eyes never stop moving, scanning the terrain in sections, quadrant by quadrant, looking for colors that don't belong, shapes that seem out of place, the bright fabric of a jacket, the angular form of a backpack, anything human in a landscape of the wild. They search the same areas again and again and again, because the forest is vast, because shadows shift with the sun, because what was hidden at dawn might be revealed at noon. The helicopter's path is a meditation. A repetitive prayer spoken in flight patterns and fuel consumption, in radio checks and coordinate confirmations. Sector 7, first pass complete. Moving to Sector 8, nothing visible, continuing search pattern. The voice crackles over the radio, steady, calm, professional, even in the face of finding nothing. In another search, for another missing person, in another park, another helicopter rises, and the pattern repeats. The same careful grids, the same patient watching, the same hope that from above, from this perspective, something will be revealed. Below, the ground teams hear the helicopter, its distant thumping a reminder that they are not alone in their seeking, that the search happens in layers, on foot and by air, systematic and thorough. The helicopter passes overhead, then banks, turns, returns, covering the same ground from a different angle, as the sun shifts and shadows change. Nothing, and nothing, and nothing. But still the searching continues. Still the helicopter follows its pattern. Still the spotter watches with tired but determined eyes. This is the aerial meditation, the skybound portion of our ritual, where the search extends upward, where perspective broadens, where the methodology remains constant, soothing in its predictability. The helicopter will search until fuel runs low, will refuel and return, will search again tomorrow, if needed, and the next day, and the next, because this is what is done. This is how we look. This is the rhythm that brings comfort, even when it brings no answers. Evening settles over the search area, and the teams return, weary, methodical, to the base camp that is formed at a trailhead, at a parking area, at the last place of certainty. They report their findings, or their lack of findings, marking completed grid sections on the master map, those neat squares now filled in with careful notation. Searched, clear, no signs. The map fills with marks, with evidence of effort, with the visual representation of systematic care. Tomorrow, new sections will be assigned. The search will expand, or contract, or refocus based on new information, on hunches, on the subtle understanding that comes from knowing the wilderness. Night falls, but the search does not entirely sleep. Small teams with flashlights and headlamps walk the trails again, calling names into darkness. Hello, can you hear us? Their voices echoing, fading, absorbed by the forest. They listen, pausing between calls, waiting for a response, for any sound that might be human, might be a cry for help, might be the rustling of someone too weak to shout. The listening is as important as the calling, perhaps more important. These quiet pauses, these moments of collective attention, straining to hear beyond the normal sounds of the woods, beyond cricket songs and owl calls, beyond wind and branches, listening for what might not be there. In the base camp, coffee percolates, a gentle bubbling that provides warmth and rhythm. Volunteers sit on tailgates and folding chairs, speaking in low tones, sharing what they saw, what they walked through, what they hope for tomorrow. Their conversations blend together, a murmur of dedication, of concern, of the strange bond that forms among those who search. There is a protocol for everything, for when to call off a search for the night, for when to expand the search radius, for when to bring in additional resources. Cadaver dogs, technical climbing teams, swift water rescue specialists. Each decision is made carefully, methodically, following guidelines established through decades of experience, through lessons learned in previous searches, in the accumulated wisdom of search and rescue culture. The same procedures, the same careful steps, in this park, in that park, in parks across the nation, a unified approach to the problem of the missing. And so the night passes, with some sleeping in shifts, with some walking the darkness, with the base camp maintaining its quiet vigil, a small constellation of light and purpose in the vast darkness of wilderness. Morning will come, and the search will resume. The grids will continue, the helicopter will rise again, and the rhythm will persist. Steady as a heartbeat, patient as stone. This is the third day, or the fourth, or the 10th. Time begins to blur in the repetition, in the sameness of the search pattern, in the methodical coverage of terrain, but the dedication never wavers, never fades. The search continues, as it has continued before, as it will continue again. The search pattern expands, concentric circles moving outward from the last known point, like ripples on still water, spreading, encompassing more terrain, more possibility, more wilderness. Teams return to areas already searched, because this is protocol, this is wisdom, to search again what has been searched before. The forest changes, hour by hour, as light shifts and weather moves through. What was invisible at one time might be visible at another. What was hidden might be revealed. Ground searchers walk their lines again, the same steady spacing, the same deliberate pace. Boots on earth, eyes scanning, the meditation of seeking continuing without end. They look under fallen logs, behind boulders, in hollows and depressions where someone might have sought shelter, might have fallen, might be resting. Every shadow is investigated. Every irregularity examined. The thoroughness is remarkable, soothing in its completeness. In one case from years ago, a search continued for weeks. The same terrain covered again and again and again. Volunteers returning day after day, walking the same grids, maintaining hope through repetition, through dedication, through the refusal to stop seeking. In another case, in another park, the pattern was identical, the commitment just as profound. Search and rescue operates on a principle, a belief that every person matters, that every disappearance deserves the full measure of effort, that the wilderness does not get to simply swallow people without witness, without response. And so they walk, and so they fly, and so they mark their maps, and so they call into silence. The process becomes timeless, ancient even as it employs modern technology. GPS coordinates and satellite phones alongside the fundamental human act of walking and looking, of hoping and seeking. Dogs work the search too, trailing dogs and cadaver dogs, their noses interpreting information invisible to human senses. They move with purpose, following scents we cannot perceive, leading handlers through underbrush and across streams. The dogs work methodically too, casting about for scent, following when they find it. Their dedication matching that of their human companions, in the repetition, in the routine, in the systematic approach. There is something deeply calming. The search has structure, has order, has a rhythm that speaks of control in the face of mystery. It is predictable even when the outcome is not. And perhaps this is why we can rest in the telling of it, can let our minds settle into the pattern of the search, the back and forth, the careful coverage, the patient persistence. The search continues, day after day, following its protocols, maintaining its standards, bringing all available resources to bear on the question of the missing. Teams rotate, fresh volunteers arrive as others must return to their lives. But the search itself continues unbroken, a relay of dedication, a passing of the torch of hope from hand to hand. And in this continuity, in this steadfast refusal to abandon the effort, there is something peaceful, something that speaks to the better nature of humanity, the part that seeks, that cares, that will not give up. The search continues, has always continued, will always continue. And slowly, so slowly, as days accumulate, as the search extends beyond the window of likely survival, the nature of the operation begins to shift. The urgency remains, but it transmutes into something else, something more solemn. The search continues, but now it searches not for rescue, but for recovery, not for the living, but for answers, for closure, for the possibility of bringing someone home. The methodology does not change. The grids continue. The helicopter still flies its patterns. The teams still walk their lines, but the feeling, the atmosphere, becomes even more meditative, more reflective, quieter somehow. They search areas further out, places where someone could not have walked in the time frame, but where they might have been carried by water, by terrain, by circumstances unknown. They return to water sources, to streams and rivers, searching banks and eddies, places where the current might have deposited what it took. The searching becomes almost ritualistic, a form of honoring, of bearing witness, of refusing to let disappearance be the final word. In some cases, the intensive search scales back after weeks, becoming a modified search, ongoing but less concentrated. And then eventually, the official search ends, and the missing person's name is added to the list, the long list of those unaccounted for in our national parks. But even then, rangers on patrol keep watching. Hikers who know the story keep their eyes open, and sometimes, months later, years later, something is found. A boot, a backpack, bones in a ravine, and the search activates again. Briefly, focused now on this single discovery, on what it might tell us. In the finding, there is rarely explanation, rarely clarity. The wilderness does not annotate its mysteries, does not provide narrative closure. A body might be found miles from where they should have been, with no clear path explaining how they arrived there, or found in a place already searched, multiple times, thoroughly, and the question simply shifts from where to how did we miss this and why here. The searches blur together across time, different names, different faces, different parks, but the same pattern, the same methodology, the same dedicated people walking the same careful grids, calling the same hopeful hellos into the same silent forest. And in this repetition, in this endless rhythm of search and mystery, of effort and unanswered questions, we find a strange peace. The searching itself becomes the meaning. The dedication becomes the answer to the unanswerable. We search because we are human, because we do not abandon each other, because the effort itself matters even when the outcome eludes us. And now, as the fourth act draws to a close, as our journey through these searches nears its end, you find yourself drifting deeper, lulled by the rhythm of the methodical, soothed by the predictable patterns of the search. Your breathing matches the steady pace of boots on earth. Your heartbeat synchronizes with the distant helicopter, and you slip into the same peaceful state the searchers find in their meditation. The search continues somewhere, always, in some park, for some missing person, the grid being walked, the names being called, the vigil being maintained, and you rest now, in the knowledge that some seek while others sleep, that some questions live forever in the asking, and that this too is peaceful. And so we arrive at the place where all questions come to rest, not in answers, but in the gentle acceptance of mystery itself. The forests remain, as they have always remained, holding their secrets close, like a mother holds a sleeping child. The trails wind on through dappled sunlight and shadow, and somewhere, always somewhere, someone is missing, someone is sought. Someone has become part of the eternal question that the wilderness whispers to itself in the darkness. There are cases, so many cases, that have no ending, no resolution, no moment of clarity that brings closure to those who wait. And perhaps this is the deepest mystery of all. Not that people vanish, but that the vanishing itself becomes a kind of permanent state. A question suspended in time, forever being asked, never answered. The search parties return home. The investigation files grow thick with dust. The missing person posters fade in the weather. But the question remains, pristine, untouched, eternal. In Yosemite, the granite walls remember, though they do not speak. They have seen the passage of countless hikers, felt the touch of countless hands seeking purchase on their ancient surfaces. And some of those hands, some of those souls, never returned to tell what they discovered in the high places. The waterfalls continue their endless falling. The mist rises, the rainbows form and dissolve and form again, and the mystery deepens with each passing season, becoming not more complex, but more simple, more pure, more perfectly unknowable. There was a woman, there have been so many, who walked into the morning mist along a lakeshore trail. Her footprints were found, measured, photographed, and then nothing. The prints simply stopped, as if she had stepped off the edge of the world, or been lifted gently into the air, or dissolved into the morning itself. The investigators searched, as they always search, with their careful methods and their determined hopes. But the lake kept its silence. The mist revealed nothing, and eventually everyone went home, except the question, which stayed behind, which is still there, which will always be there. We drift now through these unanswered mysteries, not seeking solutions, but finding peace in the not knowing. There is a strange comfort, isn't there, in questions that cannot be answered. They ask nothing of us. They demand resolution. They simply exist, like the mountains exist, like the stars exist, perfect and complete in their mystery. The missing remain missing, the lost remain lost. And somewhere in that eternal state of suspension, there is a kind of rest, a kind of peace. The forests are filled with silence, but not an empty silence, a full silence. A silence that holds within it all the voices that have called out and received no answer, all the names that have been shouted into ravines and canyons, all the whispered prayers of those who search and those who wait. This silence is not absence. It is presence, the presence of mystery, the presence of the unknowable. And if you listen carefully, if you allow yourself to drift into that silence, you can hear nothing and everything all at once. There are theories, so many theories. They multiply like wildflowers after rain, each one attempting to explain, to rationalize, to bring order to the inexplicable. Some say it is the terrain, the vastness, the easy disorientation, the sudden weather, the hidden dangers. And yes, these things are true. The wilderness is vast and unforgiving. But the theories never quite fit, do they? There is always something left over, some detail that doesn't align, some element that resists explanation. And so the theories bloom and fade, while the mystery remains, unchanged, patient, eternal. In the filing cabinets of Park Service offices, in the storage rooms of ranger stations, in the boxes in family attics, the documents accumulate, reports, statements, maps marked with X's and circles and question marks, photographs of ordinary people who became extraordinary through their vanishing. They smile from these photographs, unaware that they are about to become mysteries, unaware that their images will be studied by strangers, searching for clues, for meaning, for some hint of what was to come. But the photographs reveal nothing, because there is nothing to reveal. The mystery had not yet begun. Or perhaps it had always been there, waiting, patient as stone, patient as time itself. A child vanished in Olympic National Park, decades ago now, the details worn smooth by time and retelling. He was there, and then he was not there. Despite the searches, despite the dogs and the helicopters and the hundreds of volunteers, despite the careful investigation, despite everything, no trace was ever found. Not a shoe, not a scrap of fabric, not a single sign. And his family, they learned to live with the not knowing, because what choice did they have? The wound never healed, but it became familiar, a permanent ache, a question they carried with them always. Where did he go? And the forest, if it knows, has never told. We circle back, always we circle back to the same soft truths that the wilderness is vast, that people are small, that mystery is eternal, that some questions live forever in the asking. These refrains repeat, and in their repetition there is comfort, there is rhythm, there is the gentle lulling of waves on a shore, of wind through branches, of time itself, patient and endless. These stories have no endings, and perhaps that is their gift to us. They teach us to rest, without resolution, to sleep, without knowing, to let go, into the mystery. The trails continue, they have always continued. They wind through the forests, over mountains, beside streams and rivers, and they remember nothing, or they remember everything. It amounts to the same thing. Countless feet have walked these paths. Most pass through and return home, but some remain, not in body, but in absence, in the negative space they left behind, in the question mark that hovers over a particular stretch of trail. Where someone was last seen, where someone vanished. There's a meadow in Glacier National Park, wildflowers in summer, snow in winter, and in every season, the memory of someone who is not there. The details have blurred over the years, but the essential mystery remains sharp. A hiker, experienced, well-equipped, walking a familiar trail on a clear day, and then nothing. The meadow does not mourn. Meadows do not mourn. But it holds the absence anyway, the way a frame holds the space where a picture should be. And people still walk through that meadow, most not knowing, some knowing and wondering, all of them passing through while the mystery stays, rooted like the wildflowers, returning every spring. We speak of patterns. We have spoken of them before, and we speak of them again, because repetition is the language of peace, of sleep, of surrender. The patterns emerge and dissolve and emerge again. Missing shoes, found miles from the search area, bodies of water nearby. The area is searched multiple times before anything is found. These patterns suggest something, but what they suggest remains unclear. They are like ripples on a pond, beautiful, concentric, meaningful perhaps, but ultimately they too are part of the mystery, not the solution to it. The park rangers, those who have spent decades walking these trails, they speak in quiet voices of the cases that stay with them, the ones that make no sense, the ones that defy every rational explanation. They have seen much, and they have theories, but they also have humility, because they have learned, year after year, that the wilderness is not something to be fully understood. It is something to be respected, to be approached with care, and to be accepted in all its mystery, all its beauty, all its danger, all its eternal, unknowable truth. And so we rest in this space of not knowing. We release our need for answers, our hunger for closure, our desire to tie everything neatly together. We allow the mysteries to remain mysterious, the questions to remain unanswered, the lost to remain lost. And in this release, there is peace, deep peace, the peace that comes from acceptance, from surrender, from letting the wilderness be what it has always been, vast, ancient, indifferent, beautiful and full, so full of secrets it will never tell. Sleep comes, like mist comes to the valleys, gradually, inevitably, softly. And as sleep approaches, the stories blur together, becoming one story, the eternal story of mystery, of the unknown, of the questions that need no answers because they are complete, perfect, just as they are. Someone is walking, somewhere, always, in some national park, on some trail. They are walking now, in this very moment, unaware that they are part of the pattern, part of the ongoing mystery. Or perhaps they are simply walking and they will return home, and nothing will happen. And that too is part of the story. The vast majority return. The vast majority are safe, but the mystery focuses on those who don't, who didn't, who never will. And in focusing there, we find not fear, but a strange lullaby, a soft song of acceptance, of peace. The moon rises over Half Dome, over the Tetons, over the Great Smoky Mountains, over every peak and valley where someone has vanished. The moon rises as it has always risen, indifferent, beautiful, casting its silver light on empty trails, on silent forests, on search areas long abandoned, on mysteries that grow old but never die. The moonlight reveals nothing, and everything it shows us the world is beautiful and dangerous and vast and utterly mysterious, and this is as it should be. This is as it has always been. This is peace. We return again and again to the same quiet truths, because in repetition there is rest. The forests are deep, the trails are long, people vanish, searches are conducted, some are found, some are never found. The questions remain, the mystery endures, the wilderness keeps its counsel. These truths repeat, like breathing repeats, like heartbeats repeat, like waves repeat, and in their repetition, There is no anxiety, no tension, only the gentle rhythm of acceptance, of surrender, of sleep. There was someone, there have been so many someones, and their names echo softly now. So softly through the canyons and across the ridgelines, names called by search parties, names remembered by families, names written in reports, names that became synonymous with mystery, and the names they blend together now as you drift, as you let go, as you release your hold on the need to know, to understand, to solve. The names become a murmur, a whisper, a lullaby. Somewhere in some vast wilderness, a question hangs in the air, unanswered, eternal. And somewhere here, now, you are releasing, letting go, drifting down into the soft darkness, into the mystery of sleep, where nothing needs explanation, where questions dissolve, where peace, deep peace, waits for you, patient as mountains, gentle as mist, eternal as the forests and the trails and the mysteries that never end. And now at the end that is not an ending, we rest, fully, completely, in the embrace of mystery. The stories continue, somewhere they always continue, but here now, for you, they soften, they blur, they become the texture of sleep itself, gentle, formless, eternal. The forests breathe, in and out, as they have breathed for millennia. They do not speak of what they know, they simply are, simply exist, in their vast and ancient silence. And the silence, it wraps around you now, like a blanket, like darkness, like peace. The trees stand, patient, the trails wind empty, the mysteries remain unsolved. And all of this is exactly as it should be. You have heard the stories, so many stories, of those who vanished into the wilderness, and in hearing them, you have honored them. You have held space for the mystery, for the not knowing, for the questions that need no answers. And now you can rest, you can sleep, because you have learned what the wilderness knows, that some things are meant to remain, mysteries meant to remain, questions meant to remain forever in the beautiful, terrible, peaceful state of unknowing. The night deepens over every national park, over every trail where someone walked and did not return, over every meadow, every mountain, every forest. The night is vast and full of stars, and beneath those stars, the mysteries sleep, not resolved, but resting, as you rest, as we all rest, eventually, in the arms of what we cannot know, cannot understand, cannot solve, only accept, only honor, only release. Someone is missing, someone is always missing, somewhere in the vast wilderness, and someone is searching, someone is always searching, and someone is sleeping, as you are sleeping now, letting go, drifting down, into the deep peace of not needing to know, not needing to understand, not needing anything, but this moment, this breath, this gentle descent into mystery, into darkness, into sleep. The trails wind on, the forests stand, the questions remain, the mysteries endure, and you sleep now, deeply, peacefully, completely, held by the same wilderness, the same mystery, the same eternal silence that holds all questions, all answers, all seekers, all the lost and all the found, together in the vast, gentle darkness, forever and ever and ever. Rest now, rest, sleep, the wilderness watches, the mystery remains, and you are peace. Thank you for listening tonight. If this story helped you drift off, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more calming stories. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you next time.